Army rescues 387 Boko Haram family members from Sambisa forest. CBN withdraws circular on cybersecurity levy. Nigerians lament economic policies as inflation hardship bites harder. And on the international scene, Iran declares 5 days of mourning after President Raisi's death from helicopter crash. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us, and the details will start with security matters. A total of 387 families of Boko Haram fighters have been rescued by the Nigerian Army from the Sambisa forest. The 387, comprising men, women, and children, were rescued by the hybrid forces of the Sector 1 Northeast Joint Task Force operation in Kai. Led by Brigadier General Diwa, the troops also recovered several vehicles and equipment initially seized by the terrorists from the Nigerian Army at the peak of the insurgency. Receiving the jubilant troops at the entrance of Sambisa in Aulari Konduga local government area, the Sector 1 acting commander Abubakar Haruna said the terrorists should either surrender or face death, as all their known camps and enclaves have been destroyed. According to Haruna, the operations initially planned for 4 days eventually lasted 10 days. Two persons were killed while 7 others were abducted in an attack on Ikachi village in Akparata area of Effium in Ohuaku local government area of Ebonyi State. The police said also make this confirmation. The spokesperson for Ebonyi State Police Command, DSP Joshua Okandu, who confirmed the incident, added that the assailants also destroyed properties worth millions of naira in the area on Sunday. He added that the police have been working with other security agencies to restore peace in the area and to also ascertain the cause of the latest flare-up of communal clashes in the area. Ezza and Effium communities have been enmeshed in deadly clashes since 2021. At least 8 persons lost their lives on Saturday night at the Imo State University Owerri Junction. The tragic incident occurred when an articulated vehicle lost control and rammed into vehicles and passerby at about 7 p.m. The eyewitnesses at the scene reported to Trust TV News that some victims were rushed to the Federal Medical Center in Owerri for urgent medical attention. Ajibade Praise tells us more.
As at the time Trust TV visited the scene, the rescue mission was still ongoing. Eyewitnesses say the heavy-duty vehicle had a brake failure, leading to the driver losing control of the vehicle and crashing into commuter buses loaded with passengers.
So the man, in order not to kill many people, he now skidded off his lane and now came to this lane. And now he rammed on about 3 to 4 vehicles, and the worst happened.
I would have been in the mortuary by now, but I thank God. And this morning, I went to church, thank God, to praise Him for what He has done for me and my family. Like when I left my home, I spoke with my mother before coming here.
Traffic wardens and all that. I know there is a law that prohibits trucks from moving during the day. I'm sure there is a law. For some states it's around 10 p.m. they can move. For some states around 9. So my problem is there are people that should keep the law. There is no way this truck just came here. I'm sure it must have passed some traffic wardens, passed some policemen, passed some army. We already know that there are a lot of military presence in these states. So, but look at it now. They would have looked at it and moved high.
Though frantic efforts were made by some passerby to save the lives of the victims by rushing them to nearby hospital, disappointingly, no doctor was available to provide medical assistance until they were taken to Federal Medical Center in Owerri.
And people were nonchalant. People were more interested in doing videos, recording people who were dying, and as well there were others who were there to robbing accident victims. So immediately I started shouting, raise the alarm. I started shouting. I started asking people, please, can you help? Take as many as you can into my vehicle.
Yesterday, what my attention was drawn in a situation where our people are no longer value life at all. I was imagining yesterday, I didn't know I was informed yesterday. People were like, videoing me, instead of helping me. They are videoing me, trying to get one thing or the other out of social media. I don't know why.
Sadly, a lecturer at IMSU who was identified as Dr. Nicholas Isinwa from the Department of Marketing, who hailed from the Ohajegbema local government area of the state, was one of the victims confirmed dead. The police public relations officer, Henry Okoye, confirmed the incident. He said 6 persons died on spot, while others were being attended to at the FMC in Owerri. He, however, warned against reckless driving, while urging drivers of articulated vehicles to ensure their vehicles are in good conditions before and after any journey to avoid sad incidents such as these. At Jibadi Praise, Trust TV News. Owerri.
Away from security matters, the Central Bank of Nigeria has retracted its directive asking banks and payment service providers to collect and remit the cybersecurity levy as outlined in the Cybercrime Prevention and Prohibition Amendment Act of 2024. The Apex Bank announced this in a revised circular dated May 17, 2024. A circular signed by the Director of Payment Systems Management, Chibuzo Efobi, and the Director of Financial Policy and Regulation Department, Haruna Mustafa, was addressed to commercial banks, payment service providers, non-interest banks, and others. The directive for the collection of the levy was met by or with a nationwide backlash, which prompted the presidency to suspend implementation. The Federal Executive Council suspended the implementation of the provisions of the law, citing the need to conduct further reviews. The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, Olanipekun Olukoyede, has called on Nigerians and members of the security to collaborate with the authorities to nip in the bud the rising insecurity in the country, exacerbated by the activities of actors who fund terrorism and other criminal enterprises. The report.
While the EFCC chairman spoke extensively on efforts the Commission is making, including the adoption of technology to meet up with contemporary challenges, Olukoyede wasn't silent about the activities of Nigerians and other members of the public, whose actions, he says, has aided and abated the criminals.
Some of our discoveries recently, when we went into investigating some of these platforms, was mind-boggling. We thought Binance was a major one. Yes, a major one, we are prosecuting them, but much more other platforms we have discovered. Some of these activities are also promoted by Nigerians, most times. Now, when our military and law enforcement agencies go to work, Nigerians are supposed to support them. Fighting terrorism is collective responsibility. If 4 out of every 5 Nigerians can stand for what we are here for today, in 6 months, we will nip this thing in the bud. We must not leave this responsibility to the military and to the law enforcement alone.
Chairman of the ICPC, in his remarks, blamed poverty and illiteracy for the rising cases of insecurity in Nigeria.
Poverty, illiteracy have been identified as some of the main causes of terrorism in Nigeria. These twin ills must be tackled effectively to stop extremism and violent dissent. Bad governance and corruption have direct relations with the prevalence of poverty and illiteracy. And this is something which all of us are aware that if there is good governance, definitely there will be peace and security in the society.
Others called for protection of the interests of security operatives, while also pledging the support of the National Assembly to strengthen financial regulations to tackle illicit financial flows.
These issues are priorities to us as we have enshrined in the legislative agenda, but particularly we believe that some of the legislative interventions that can help address these issues include strengthening of anti-money laundering laws, to cover a broad range of transactions and entities, to support, of course, the ICPC, EFCC, and other bodies like that, to also improve the effectiveness of the Financial Intelligence Unit.
I mean, it's only in Nigeria you will see this kind of thing. So-called nonsense actors will take arms and be killing, police will be killing army, and people just move on just like that. We need to protect our security men and women that are also giving their lives. And sadly, some of them, when they are even killed on this, not even any national honor, not even any support to their families. We need to change the way we do things. Otherwise, we will not encourage people to even join any security, agencies. Even the anti-corruption agencies, see how they are being bullied, they've been attacked simply because they want to help cleanse the country. They want to prevent people from taking the resources that are meant for our development.
The EFCC had earlier in April 2024 frozen 1,146 accounts over unauthorized foreign exchange transactions. Some of them, its chairman says, were linked to individuals suspected to be financing the activities of bandits, terrorists, and other criminal activities in Nigeria.
The president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, has said the Congress was not aware of major talks involving the Labour Party with some political parties in the country. The LP, which is a socio-democratic political party, was founded by the organized Labour. There have been speculations about the possibility of a merger between the LP and the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, following the meeting between the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and the presidential candidate of the PDP in the election, Atiku Abubakar. Obi also reportedly met with some PDP stalwarts in Abuja, including a former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, and a former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido. Speaking after the meeting with Obi on Monday last week, Atiku said party members will decide their fate in the 2027 general elections, adding that if the PDP decided in 2027 that it was the turn of the Atiku, I beg your pardon, that it was the turn of the Southeast to field the presidential candidate and selected candidate Obi, then he would readily offer his support. The Senate is set to commence a public hearing on the upward review of judges' salaries, allowances, and fringe benefits for judicial officers nationwide. The letter dated May 14, 2024, informed the AGF to be prepared to make a presentation to the Senate and the general public. The letter, which was signed by the chairman, Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, Senator Muhammad Monguno, said the Senate and its plenary sitting considered the judiciary officers' salaries and allowances Bill 2024 and referred same to the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for further legislative action. The House of Representatives had passed a bill that was sent to it by President Bola Tinubu for the upward review of salaries, allowances, etc. for a third reading. Stakeholders in the legal profession have enjoined the Nigerian Bar Association to ensure the implementation of a better remuneration policy for practitioners to enable struggling young lawyers stand on their feet. This follows the biting economic situation in the country, which has negatively impacted all sectors, including the legal profession. Victoria Tokolo has more in this report.
The services of lawyers impact on every aspect of life in the society, hence the profession is regarded as a very noble one. Despite its nobility, many lawyers, particularly the younger ones, are still struggling to make ends meet, a situation many say is a dent on the profession. To address this seeming anomaly, legal professionals in Lagos are urging the Nigeria Bar Association to expedite action on the implementation of the remuneration policy for lawyers, which was approved on paper in 2023.
The law has not been very dynamic in that respect. We had the solicitors' charges of the 1960s. Then eventually, last year, 2023, the remuneration scale was now amended. But the implementation of that remuneration scale is what is going to be a problem now. It's going to be a big challenge. I understand that the NBA and some other stakeholders, they are working towards that to ensure that that remuneration scale, as amended in 2023, will be the NBA and every stakeholder will be able to help us keep to it.
Real issue is the economy of the nation. Normally, we did 10 years or I don't remember lawyers finding it out weekends. In fact, law was one of the most stable professions in the law. I didn't know any lawyer in school. But now, with this current government, let me just say it's everywhere. It's everybody that's feeling it.
We have structures. We have structures for remuneration, for payment of lawyers. The actual reality is that most clients don't want to comply. Most clients will think, oh, what is lawyer doing? How much is there? Some of them, if they instruct you to do agreement, they will say, what did you do? What did you do? Is it not just to type? Is it not just to write? Even when you go to litigation, some of them don't really appreciate what you put in. They will say their case is good. If you win the case, they will say, after all, my case is good. The lawyer didn't do anything. But if you lose, the blame will be on you. They will say you didn't do anything. So the problem we have is the real appreciation of the profession of what a lawyer does by the economic and socio-political society that we live in.
Practitioners believe that if the Nigeria Bar Association can assist with the implementation of the remuneration policy, the profession will remain noble and more sustainable for all legal members, especially the younger ones.
You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up, we take a look at how inadequate water supply in Kano disrupts daily life and education. This and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Trust News Update. Here's a recap of our top stories. We brought you Army rescues 387 Boko Haram family members from Sambisa forest. And CBN withdraws circular on cybersecurity levy. Now moving on to more stories. The Vice President Kashim Shettima has called on the governors of the Northeast states to intensify efforts in reviving the sub-region's lost glory through education, business, and economic activities. Shettima emphasized the critical role of education in fostering development and urged the governors to focus on enhancing educational infrastructure and quality. Trust TV's Adamu Imam has the details.
Vice President Kashim Shettima launched the Accelerated Senior Secondary Education Program in Bauchi, aimed at improving access to quality education in the Northeast. He emphasized the importance of enhancing educational infrastructure and curriculum to foster regional development. This initiative by the Northeast Development Commission seeks to address critical educational needs and support long-term progress in the region.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, through ASEP we aim to tackle the dysfunction at this critical level of education by transforming key educational outcomes across three major result areas. First, we aim to ensure that admissions to tertiary institutions are more accessible. As Alexander Pope said, drink deep or touch not the Western spring. There is no one as dangerous as a half-educated person. We have to embrace education for the good of our society, to uplift our society.
All 6 Northeast governors and educational stakeholders attended the launch of the Accelerated Senior Secondary Education Program ASEP. Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum, chairman of the Northeast Governors Forum, spoke on their behalf. The event coincided with the forum's annual meeting in Bauchi.
We are fully aligned with the focus and pillars of ASEP. For the Northeast, we urgently need to raise the headcount and quality of our graduates. We need to upgrade the quality of our teachers using technology and other available resources. And we need to equip our youth with 21st century skills and fit them for the realities of our times. Our development policies and programs are also aimed to drive these objectives, and we are delighted to embrace ASEP as a program designed to further our development in these areas.
Bauchi State Governor Senator Bala Mohammed emphasized his administration efforts to enhance education standard across the state. Vice President Kashim Shettima commended the NEDC for ASEP and assured continued federal support for educational initiatives nationwide. Secondary school students showcased educational technology during the event, highlighting efforts to accelerate access to quality education in the Northeast. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Residents of Kano State in northwest Nigeria are currently struggling due to a severe lack of water supply, particularly in the rural areas. This crisis has forced many children to abandon their education as they must travel long distances to fetch drinking water for their families. Trust TV's Idris Jibrin reports.
Chalawa is a community in Kumbotso local government area of Kano State. Apart from the community's proximity to the metropolitan city of Kano, the 75,000 liters daily capacity treatment plant is located in the community and is called Chalawa Water Treatment Plant because the plant used the river Chalawa from where both communities' animals and residents now drink water. According to residents, over the years, Chalawa community used to have steady supply of water with many reservoirs and water pumps all scattered around the community. There are also water boreholes, many of which are no longer working, largely due to government negligence.
We have problem
of water here more than you can think, and we have lots of children going to school. But unfortunately, all our boreholes were not even built by the government, but by individual philanthropists. Therefore, our children had to go to the river to fetch water, and in fact, many of them have stopped going to school. Malam Shehu Al-Hassan, the ward head of Chalawa Chikingari, say at the moment, his people are in a very difficult situation as many things have stopped due to the lack of this basic necessity of life, and that most of his people now relied on River Chalawa. I can tell you that in my ward alone, there are 17 boreholes. But as of today, only 3 are working. One in my house, one in Imam's house, and the other one at our school. And even these ones that are working can only pump water when there is electricity supply. We visited River Chalawa at a time when classes were in session in both primary and secondary schools and met a number of school-age children fetching water, while others were washing school uniform.
I
did not go to school today because I have to wash my father's clothes, and because there is no water in town. The managing director of the Kano State Water Board, Engineer Garba Ahmad, said recently there is an outcry of non-availability of water within Kano metropolitan area, but it does not affect the people outside the metropolis. He said the greater Kano area has about 5 treatment plants supplying water under Greater Kano, and that all are working except the Tambrawa water plant, which the government is working to revive.
Because of the public outcry and serious concern of government on the issue of water supply in the Greater Kano area, just recently the government set up a special task force considering all people of high caliber in the water sector who are experienced, who have worked for many decades and have retired, to come together with the management of the water board to rescue the situation immediately.
Meanwhile, despite this commitment by the state government, the people of Chalawa village are still suffering to access water, even as they wait for government to provide permanent solution for their water problem. Their children at both primary and secondary schools have continued to skip schools in order to fetch water for their family. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
On the international scene, Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi has died in a helicopter crash at the age of 63. Iran media said rescuers on Monday found the helicopter that was carrying the Iranian president as well as the country's foreign minister Hossein Amirabdollahian and 7 other senior officials after it crashed in the mountainous northwest reaches of Iran. The helicopter crashed weeks after Iran launched a drone and missile attack on Israel in response to a deadly strike on its diplomatic compound in Damascus. Also, the hardliner Raisi became president in a historical uncompetitive election in 2021. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, assigned Vice President Mohammad Mokhber, will assume interim duties as president. He will be required to work with the heads of legislative and judicial to prepare for presidential elections within a maximum period of 50 days. A 5-day of national mourning has been declared by Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, for President Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news programs and documentaries. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.